Ladies and gentlemen, my name is TotalBiscuit, and I would like to suggest that you try Killer Instinct. You might be asking why on earth I'm bringing this up now. Killer Instinct has been around for a good couple of years on Xbox One, and was also available on the Windows Store. Well, it's had a Steam release, which in itself is beneficial for a number of reasons, including Windows 7 compatibility, and never having to use that god-awful Windows Store ever again. Please burn it in a fiery hell pit. Killer Instinct comes with all of the content that's come over the last few seasons of Killer Instinct development, a game that started with just 6 characters and now has around 30 and is stacked with single-player, multiplayer, and the Shadow Lords content, which is both single and multiplayer, a giant meta game in which you earn items and send fighters on missions. And I'm suggesting this because, frankly, this makes Killer Instinct one of the most fully featured, if not the most fully featured fighting game currently available on the PC. Let me show you what I mean by that. I'll just dive into single player briefly. And there's all of this daily reward and challenge stuff if you want to engage in that. It's kind of up to you. A lot of it's about skin unlocking. Everything that you get in the Steam package basically allows you all of the characters and a bunch of gold skins and stuff. There's no meaningful content that is locked behind any kind of unlock or paywall, really, in this game. It's all there. And we'll start off first by having a look at the single-player options and the single-player offerings that this game has to offer. You've got your basic player versus CPU, you've got a story mode, survival mode, CPU versus CPU, and Shadow Lab, if you wish, which allows you to mess around with different versions of characters to put together. We'll dive into a little bit of player versus CPU just straight off the bat. There you can see the character roster, fairly significant character roster. And I'll just throw us against a random opponent. Here we go. And, well, there's a lot of very, very good music in this. We'll go with Shadow Tiger's Lair. There we go. And I'll show you the basics of the fighting system and one of the reasons why I really like Killer Instinct over other fighting games. Okay, here we go. Jago versus whoever the hell she is. Let's rock and roll. And I'm going to be using a hitbox for this, which is a direct input fight stick-like device. One of the unfortunate problems that the Steam Edition has is that it does not directly support direct input devices, which means you'll need to use a third-party tool like Xpadder in order to actually use those devices. But if you have an X input controller, so in other words, something like a Xbox One controller, that will work just fine. And of course you can use the keyboard, which is a completely viable option for 2D fighters. An often ignored viable option, really, for them, because that full-on digital input is extremely appropriate for games like this, which require very specific digital inputs. Alright, so one of the things that I really like about Killer Instinct is its emphasis on combos and combo breakers. Now, almost every fighting game has an emphasis on combos, but only Killer Instinct has this sort of lock-in combo system. And the first thing you have to do is open up your combo, and those are called openers. You then have to link the combo together, and you have a little combo meter that appears on the left and tells you when your combo is about to run out, when you're about to sort of reach the extent of what your combo can do. At that point, you have to execute a finisher and then maybe a couple of juggle moves in order to get the maximum amount of damage out of it. Now, doing combos in games like, say, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite or Street Fighter is fairly challenging, and while there are auto combo options in some of those games for a basic combo, this game has a combo assist and a system which allows pretty much anybody to do combos, really. As long as you open up and then immediately follow up with a link, you'll be able to keep comboing the opponent until that combo bar runs out, or until the opponent does what's called a combo breaker. And that means the opponent has to hit the right combo breaker depending on the heavy or basically the heaviness of the attack. So you've got 3 kinds of attacks. You've got your light, medium, and heavy. And if you hit breaker for the right one at the right time it correctly, you will combo break out. If you don't, you will be locked out, which means they can continue to combo you and do a bunch of damage. The nice thing about it is that it takes away the feeling of helplessness that you often get from fighting games when you're being comboed and juggled midair by somebody who's much better than you. You're thinking, oh god, this just feels awful. I hate this. I don't want to play any more of it. It's a fairly large barrier to sustained play, I would say, for newer players. It's very, very intimidating to get into a new fighting game, especially online. One of the things that really helps outside of this combo system that lets pretty much anybody participate with really cool, awesome combos and break out of any combo that you're being subjected to if you press the right buttons and you have enough patience, is that you've also got a extremely well-detailed tutorial system, and that's under Master here in the dojo. And you also have combo breaker training and trials. These are the kind of things that are going to allow you to practice breaking combos on different opponents. Learning the different moves that an opponent does is key to figuring out the right combo breaker for the right time. And being able to recognize what those moves are, well, there's a mode that lets you practice that. But if you head to the dojo, this is where you've got one of the best tutorials in modern fighting games. Teaching people to play fighting games is a big challenge. They're very complex games under the hood, and anybody can button mash, but in order to be even remotely effective, you need a good tutorial system. And there's only a couple of games that I would say really succeed in that. The latest Guilty Gear is one of them. That actually teaches in a very interesting way, having you do activities that are similar to what you're being asked to do in-game, sort of simulating it, almost teaching by allegory. In this case, they're a little bit more direct about it, but they're very detailed, and they explain exactly how things work and why. So here's, say, how the combo system works. You've got openers, autos, linkers, autos, and enders. So it's going to explain, hey, how do you do it? Well, an opener is a special or shadow attack that could start a combo, and I have a couple of moves that could be used as an opener, my laser sword or wind kick. And then once I've opened it, any attack will start an auto combo, which is a chain of normal attacks. So it's going to teach me how to do that to start with. Very, very easy indicator. It's going to show me exactly which buttons I'm pressing. So it wants me to open up with that, and then it wants me to do that. It's a medium auto there. So that's a nice, easy combo. No problem. Now it wants me to open with a laser sword. So we'll do that. There we go. And it wants me to then follow it up with light. So we'll do that. And there you go, another combo. Looks really, really impressive, doesn't it? But super easy to do. And it's teaching me really quite well. And the tutorial is expansive. Let's just say that. There is a lot of very, very good stuff in there. Even explaining advanced fighting game concepts that I didn't even know myself. Things like frame trapping. We go to advanced tutorials. One of the disappointing things I found is that you've got to go through the basic stuff before you get to do the advanced stuff, which is a little annoying, but it won't take up too much of your time. It's a good refresh anyway. It's going to teach you some really difficult combos, how to do linkers and shadow linkers, juggling, maximizing combos, how to perform resets, frame trapping, reading and using frame data. Huge amount of stuff available there. And if you go to practice mode as well, you're going to be able to see every one of your inputs, and you're going to be able to easily learn where you went wrong. This extremely extensive teaching suite is why I find this game to be extremely relevant, and why I would very easily recommend it to somebody that is interested in fighting games but they're not really all that confident. Like, well, I don't know how to play them properly. I'm just worried I'm just going to get comboed to hell, juggled for 2 minutes in midair in a multiplayer match, and it's going to suck. I was like, yeah, I could definitely see how you would feel that way. And there's your sort of practice mode, and you can bring up a ton of different options. It's going to show you how to use all of this stuff. Bring up your, there you go, what the dummy's going to do. Icons for combo breakers. Input displays. It even shows you hitboxes, for God's sake. That's excessive amounts of information. Look at that. It shows you hitboxes almost. I can't think of many fighting games that really show you that. Really showing you exactly where things are gonna hit, how they're gonna hit, how they're exactly gonna work. It's incredible. It's incredible stuff. And I think that if you play this tutorial and you play it all the way through, you're gonna learn some stuff that's gonna apply to every fighting game. Combo system's not the same in other fighting games. It's a very unique game in terms of its combo system. But other principles like crossing up, how to do mix-ups, how to do resets, frame trapping, that's all very relevant to any competitive fighting game. So I'm very impressed by that. Incredibly impressed. Now, what about, the rest of the content? Well, we were talking about the story mode. Well, there's a nice set of stories. There's two, in fact. You got Season 1 and Season 2 with different endings, which is great. So, you know, we could dive into this. It's got some live action scenes and all sorts of things like that. And you can play a bunch of different Season 2 characters, learn them, and it gives you a bunch of different goals so that you start to learn the ways and means of those characters. So not only does it give you a ton of really cool story mode content, but it's also teaching you, which is ideal. You know, that is an excellent thing to put in the game there. It's a bit of an unfair comparison, I think, because you compare 3 years of development, which has been put into this post-launch, piling it in with Double Helix and then Iron Galaxy taking up the reins. And then compare it to something like Street Fighter V or something like the new Marvel vs. Capcom. And of course, this game's going to have way, way more content. It's going to be laden with it. But here's the thing. As a consumer, you have no reason to care about that. What you want is a good value product. What you want is a good value proposition. That is what this game offers. Graphics are, you know, a little dated. You can certainly turn it up. You know, there's a couple of options I don't have. More anti-aliasing, go up to full 4K. Runs very, very well. I'll certainly say that. But I think that in terms of looking at something which is going to give you a ton of playtime for not that much money, you know, it's a $30 proposition, then this game is top tier. I don't think of anything that matches it. You know, maybe Ultra Street Fighter 4? God, I could even do the story mode with the hitboxes on if I want, which I kind of don't, but it's interesting to have it on nonetheless. Oh, man. I think I'm actually doing a sort of training mode here. There we go. Okay, I think we could probably turn that off, but you get the idea. The only issue that I've got really with the Steam release is that they missed the trick with the free-to-play launch. Now, this game has actually been free-to-play from its very outset on Xbox One, and what that means is you are able to buy it at $30 to get everything, or you could buy a character for $5 each, or you could play for free and get one character on a weekly rotation. And I think later on there may be ways to earn them, but I can't be sure. Right now, of course, you've got the Steam release, which is $30 for everything, which is great value, but I think that to remove that barrier to entry, putting a free-to-play version on Steam would be excellent. There is one on the Windows Store, but it's not on Steam, which is really where you want it. So I would hope that they look at that again and say, you know what? It would be great if we did the free-to-play offering, because that is going to vastly expand the number of people that are available on the platform to play with. And you might be asking, well, what's the player base like? Is there crossplay? Okay, so there's good and bad news on that front. So the good news is yes, absolutely, there is crossplay. Bad news is that it's only available in certain modes and it doesn't include ranked mode, which is unfortunate. Very unfortunate. I think that they missed the trick there, and I don't think there's a very good reason for them to restrict it. There's no difference between the PC and the Xbox in terms of the input devices they can use. There's no advantage to being on PC. It's not like using a mouse and keyboard or anything. So, having ranked mode between Xbox One and PC, I think would be excellent, and that would keep the population up. Right now, the population is very strong. I'm finding games in about 10 to 20 seconds on the ladder. No problem at all. I need to turn these damn boxes off. Good lord, can we not have that? I actually don't know how to turn them off, unfortunately. There's a good amount of customization here in terms of repositioning things, but it's like, can I turn the hitboxes off? I actually don't know how to do it. Oh dear. We might want to go back to training mode in order to fix that, because that can't be very fun to watch. Oh my. Alright, let's go back to practice and fix it that way. So right now it's okay, but we are dealing with quite a lot of smurfs at the moment, so you have to bear that in mind. I am getting my ass kicked by people who've played for 3 to 4 years on the Xbox and have switched over to Steam. That will solve itself within a couple of weeks. But it's a pain in the ass, and obviously you don't want that. It's weird that I think you have to go all the way back to here in order to actually turn those options off. There we go. I don't mind having input display on. That's actually kind of helpful, but yeah, turning hitboxes off might be a good idea. There we go. Now I can show you a little bit more versus AI. Hopefully later on, they will decide, all right, we're going to let both platforms play against each other in every mode. At the moment, it's like lobbies, unranked, things like that. You can do cross-platform, but ranked mode, no. Let me show you another mode. Because, as I said, the game is laden with content. Shadow Lords. So Shadow Lords is some pretty interesting stuff. What you have with this is a sort of weird meta mode whereby you earn items. For some reason, it didn't save my progress. It's a bit strange. I was in the middle of the sort of Shadow Lords tutorial, and for some reason, it seems to have lost my save file, but I guess I'll show you a little bit of it anyway. Shouldn't be too much of a problem, and I can skip through this anyway. So in this mode, you recruit various fighters, and you're able to get different items which customize the various fighters. There's quite a few games that have started to do modes like that, like the new Injustice, for instance, has a mode like that. But that means that this game's got it, and you can also do a multiplayer version of it too. So that means that there's yet another way to play. If you want to play with consumable powers and vastly customized characters with different items, you can absolutely do that, and the game will let you. So if the story mode isn't enough for you, then you have that option as well, which, you know, again, is why I think that the game is a, frankly, pretty damn excellent value proposition at the moment. If you put all of that together and you have a look at it as a total package, it's one hell of a package. There's nothing better in terms of sheer amount of content. And as a fighting game, I just think it's generally an excellent one. The combo system is really, really unique. The way that the audio and visual feedback work with this particular with the combos means that you feel like an absolute god when you combo these enemies. Anybody can do it. They really can. Now, there are obviously way better combos than just sort of bashing buttons, but anybody can do combos in this game, really. It doesn't actually require a huge amount of practice, but you'll start to slowly refine your combos and get better and better at it. And frankly, I think that's a very, very satisfying feeling. And then you have other systems like the Instinct bar, which allows you to get different powers on each of the characters. They all get different benefits from that. And of course, the Shadow Gauge, Shadow Counters, Combo Breakers, Combo Breakers, Counter Breakers. God, all sorts of cool stuff. Yeah, it's a really good system. Really, really unique. And surprisingly well put together. Everything that is in this game makes me feel like the people that made it really care about it. The music, the presentation, the callbacks to the original. And for God's sake, listen to this. Even on the menu, they've got references. It plays the damn theme music when you move around the menu. That's just so cool. So very, very cool. It just screams passion, passion, passion. And I think it did end up being a passion project. It was surprising to see Double Helix come out with something like that. You know, a shovelware studio, essentially. We were really, really afraid that it would end up being a terrible game as a result, but it's not. And Iron Galaxy picked up the reins really, really well. And right now, you have access to an excellent fighting game that is very accessible. It's noob-friendly. It's got a big roster, a lot of single-player, multiplayer content. It is the complete package on PC right now. Very easy to recommend Killer Instinct, ladies and gents. My name has been TotalBiscuit. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, by all means, do feel free to click the like button. If not, the dislike button is right over there. And I'll see you next time.